want to listen.
Are you not entertained? Is that why you are here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Well, hello and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. And I figured, rather than go to my Wicked screening tonight and sit in the theater for 2.5 hours and watch that, I would rather hang out with you guys via the power of the internet. I know it's almost magical in a sense, but nevertheless, thanks for joining me once again. I missed you. It's been way too long. And with all of that said, there's a few topics I want to dive into before we get into the questions, and I assure you, we will get into the questions, and you can ask anything and everything that your heart desires, and I will answer it. No matter how weird that shit gets, I will answer it with a smile on my face and a warm, tingly feeling in my heart and down below. But, first and foremost, there's so much to talk about, so I'll just get to it. The first thing I want to talk about was what a disappointing weekend. Not only for movies, but for professional fights. So let's dive into the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. I have been waiting months upon months to watch that. A group of buddies, some of my friends, we got together. We ordered some hot wings. It was delicious. The habanero hot wings. Definitely, that was a price I paid the next day. But you know what? That's a small price to pay. But I can still feel it resonating within me. But with all that said, when it comes to professional boxing, I've never been a huge fan of it. But when it comes to Mike Tyson, whatever he does, I can't look away. And if for nothing else, he is pure spectacle and he's pure cinema. All right, let's talk about the fight. So I didn't expect much from this fight. You have Mike Tyson. The man's 58 years old. He's a beast. He's a machine. He was made to hit people in the face, and he was really good at it. And if he wants to nibble on your ear every once in a while, well, that's a small price to pay. So I've always kind of followed Mike Tyson and everything that he's done. I've listened to his podcast. Every time he goes on someone else's podcast, I listen to it. I think Mike Tyson was generated by AI to be pure entertainment in the simulation that we live in. That's how I look at Mike Tyson. He's the living embodiment of a cartoon character, but he has this weird likability to him. It's baffling. So when it comes to this fight, the first thing I want to talk about, Netflix. How much is Netflix worth these days? How many billions of dollars is Netflix worth? I know I'm paying like $600 and $700 a month to use it at this point. I'm being hyperbolic. Really, it's probably $20. But then again, who really pays for Netflix? But the buffering issues during this broadcast, I couldn't. What's happening here? How is it that the NFL can broadcast the Super Bowl to 120 million people, but Netflix can't broadcast a boxing match to 60 million people without it buffering every 3.5 seconds, like I'm using AOL dial-up from 1998. My friend, he restarted his internet like 7-8 times. I was like, dude, your internet sucks. Come on, what are you doing? But little did we know, I guess I had too much faith in Netflix. And when it comes to the Netflix buffering issues, I'm a huge fan of WWE. And if you didn't know, the weekly episodic wrestling show, Raw, will be coming to Netflix in January, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've been waiting my whole life to see something like this. And these buffering issues sort of have me on the ropes, no pun intended, maybe a little bit. And I'm very aware that not 60 million people are going to watch pro wrestling every week on Netflix. I get that. But then again, didn't Netflix have buffering issues during like the Love Circle, I Have Herpes dating show last year? It just seems like when it comes to live broadcasting, they're not very good at it. And that to me is odd considering how much money they have to invest in an infrastructure that should only be good at broadcasting things on a live streaming app. They are the live streaming app. Netflix, that's it. So, you know, that's so anyway, let's just get to the fight before I blow up here. I didn't expect much from this fight, but what I got was less than that. Now, I'm not a boxing professional, okay? I'm a guy who talks about movies in his underwear. I don't critique boxing matches. I'm not an expert by any means. But I can tell when a dude is pulling a punch, okay? And I think we all can. It looked at, for the first 1.5 minutes of this bout between Tyson and Paul, I had a little bit of hope. Not much, but just a little bit. Mike was swinging, he was moving. But during the second round, you basically came to the realization that, oh, this is going to be it. And then again, hey, they both made millions of dollars. I think Mike Tyson made $20 million for a sparring match where he got to stand around for the better part of 7 rounds. And the one thing I did notice with Tyson during his fight was it looked like his legs weren't quite keeping up with his upper body. Like, it looked like he had the upper body strength. His arms were still ready to go. But those legs, man, he just didn't have any power underneath him and he couldn't move. And maybe he was afraid to get hit and get knocked down because he just couldn't keep his balance. That's just my perception of the fight. But then again, it looks like he could have swung a few more times than he did, and he simply just did not go for it. But then again, these are boxing matches with Jake Paul. Do you really expect it to be like the ending to Rocky IV, a knockdown, drag-out fight? And speaking of Rocky, the thing that got me really excited about this Tyson-Paul fight was it sort of reminded me of like Rocky Balboa, the 2006 movie. You have this grizzled vet coming back to the ring for this dream match, and by dream match, I don't mean with Jake Paul, but nevertheless, I'll take what I can get. And it sort of felt like we were living in a movie, just ever so slightly, and I enjoyed that surrealism to the whole event and the extravaganza. So, but as far as the fight goes, man, kind of sucked, but it was cool to see Mike Tyson in the ring again. And I will give some credit where credit is due. There was a few matches before that between the ladies with their championship bout, which I thought was really good. I mean, they definitely went for it, and they didn't pull their punches. Bloody eyebrows, it was awesome. Quite enjoyed it. So, what were your thoughts on the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight? I enjoy a good spectacle. It gave me a reason to eat some hot wings. And but you can fool me once, you can fool me twice, but I'm not going to fall for that again. Maybe I will. It just depends. Anyway, it's pro boxing. What can you do? Is it really for me it feels like the version of pro boxing we're getting there is like blurring the lines with pro wrestling. In a way, I enjoy the storytelling and the build up, but I feel like the execution is not as fulfilling as pro wrestling is. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think about it down below. The next topic I want to talk about, going back to it being a very disappointing weekend, was I saw a movie called Red One, a $250 million action comedy Christmas movie starring The Rock, playing The Rock for the 47th time in his filmography. And I did not expect much from Red One. I expected almost nothing. And now originally Red One was slated to be an Amazon Prime movie. And that's what it should have been all along. But for some odd reason, someone thought it was a good idea to release this turd into the theaters. And I had nothing better to do, so I went to go see it. And I couldn't believe what I was watching before me. Now, if you went and saw Red One and you had a mildly good, entertaining time, I'm happy for you. I really am. But I hated every second of this movie, and let me tell you why. There's no excuse for a film coming out in 2024 that cost $250 million to look like this and have a screenplay like this. All it did was it just rehash every trope, every cliche you've seen in every action movie since 1992, and it stuffed them all into this wannabe comic book Christmas movie. This was more of a comic book movie than it was a Christmas movie. It felt like they were trying to make a superhero movie with the Christmas theme but it just felt like a really bad superhero movie. It felt worse than Black Adam, which, speaking of Black Adam, and that's one box office bomb, currently, or at least 3 hours ago, Red One has made $35 million at the box office on a $250 million budget. Now, I have conspiracy theories on why these streaming services make these lackluster, over-budgeted, over-digitized, soulless, bland, cliche, no-substance movies. And my first thought is, well, maybe it's just a tax write-off. The second thought is, they need to come up with original content. I understand that to some degree. I really do. But I don't know anyone who would ever subscribe to Amazon Prime to watch Red One. Now, if you already have Amazon Prime and you're in your underwear one Christmas afternoon and you have nothing better to do and your family's over there yakking and you don't want to hear their annoying voices, maybe you'll put on Red One in the background. Just maybe. And you can sip some eggnog and have a good time. That's the only way you could ever consume Red One. But outside of that, you could make like 20 Home Alone movies for the cost of Red One. And it just still baffles my brain that they spend this much on a movie that clearly, if you just put two people together in a room that had any common sense or an IQ higher than the room temperature, they would come to the conclusion, maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a movie that no one wants to see, and it's not going to be good. No one wanted this. So Red One sucked. I hated every second of it, and it truly terrifies me if this is the direction Hollywood's going, if this is the future of cinema, and this is what movies will be. Just lukewarm, watered-down rehashes of shit we've already seen 20 times before, but this rehash isn't better, it's just worse. That scares me. And for the cost of this movie, you would think they were making the next Avengers movie. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the first Avengers movie costs almost the same as this or less than this. Either way, I hope cinema does not go this direction. And I think, judging by the box office, if the studio execs up in their corner offices can count or look at the box office, maybe they'll change course and change direction. And really what it comes down to is, the reason I'm going to hate on this movie for the rest of my life, and I'm going to be very vocal about it, and by the way, if you haven't seen my In the Theater movie review of Red One, that's over on the Flickpick channel, my main channel. The link is down below. Go check out that review. I give some more thoughts on the movie. But it just feels like they bastardized cinema. I didn't have a good time with this movie. I think this film made Jingle All the Way look like The Shawshank Redemption. I truly do. And when it comes to The Rock, I think he's box office poison. I really do. Now, I am looking forward to his upcoming movie where he plays a UFC fighter. I forgot the title of it. Is it Frank Mir? Something like that? Maybe I'm mistaken. Anyway, that looks interesting. That's an A24 film, and that's the type of roles I would rather see The Rock play. Like, that makes sense for The Rock. But playing the protagonist in these big box office budgeted, bland movies, this shit's, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I don't want to look at his face. I don't. I love me some Rock in the wrestling ring, but I don't love him up on the big screen. So what did you guys think about Red One? And my best advice to you is don't see the movie. Just don't. It's not even like a guilty pleasure. I wish it was so bad it was good. At least then you would have some entertainment value. And really, if you want some, I guess, constructive criticism, what do I think they should have done with Red One? I think they should have just accepted what the movie was and had more fun with it. Make a pure throwback to the 1990s action genre. Make it feel like Jingle All the Way. Ham it up. Don't be afraid. And also, one thing I did forget to mention when it comes to Red One, for a movie that costs hundreds of millions of dollars, and keep in mind, I'm fairly certain 90% of the budget went to the cast of the movie. But you would think for a movie that expensive, that it wouldn't look like complete dog shit. It felt like someone took the saturation and the exposure of this movie when they were editing it and just cranked it down to negative 90%. It looks so dark and empty and digital. And then you had the North Pole, which you think would be this vibrant, cool, awesome city with neon lights. And if you're going to have J.K. Simmons play Santa Claus, and by the way, J.K. Simmons playing Santa Claus in this movie, I wanted more J.K. Simmons. I wanted him to kind of be more of the blunt version of the characters he's been in past movies. For example, if you had a Santa Claus in this movie who was just like, give a retard a calculator, he'll try to turn on the TV, you know, like, give me that version of Santa Claus. At least then I can watch it and laugh, but he just felt like he was there. But anyway, going back to the way that this movie looks, it's so dark and just blurry and flat. And every time you had a close-up of a character's face, you could almost see this halo effect around the outline of their body with the green screen behind them. And there was way too much artificial lighting hitting them in the face. It's like, okay, Rock, we're going to shoot all of your scenes in my garage today. Let me just use my phone as a light and hold it above your head. I'm sure the effects department will fill in the gaps later on. There's no excuse for that. That's just lazy, shitty filmmaking, and it disgusts me to my core. It really does. It makes my ass burn more than those habanero hot wings I ate on the night Tyson fought Jake Paul. So anyway, those are my thoughts. The next topic I want to talk about, and we will dive into the questions, I assure you, we are getting there. We are getting there. The next thing I want to talk about was, and I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. We're gonna calm down for a second. A few weeks ago, I went to the, and this is so not related to movies, and we'll get back into the fun stuff in just one second. But I like to keep it personal with you guys. I like to be personable and give you some insights to my life. I feel like it's the least I can do. We've been in this game a long time together. I feel like we're almost family at this point, or at least I hope you feel the same way. And a few weeks ago, I went to the dermatologist, and I got some stuff checked out, and they spotted a little spot. It's on my inner thigh, and it's just a little freckle. Nothing crazy. That's not even why I went there. And we did a biopsy on it, and they told me that it could potentially be precancerous melanoma. Now, keep in mind, I'm not dying or anything like that, though I could one day, who knows. But there's a 5 to 10% chance this shit could turn into cancer. So I had to go in and have surgery to have this little freckle removed, but they don't just remove the little freckle. No. They cut a football-sized gap out of your leg. It looks like Jaws took a bite out of me when I was swimming in the North Atlantic, and I had to get some stitches, and my leg's all bruised and bandaged up. And a few days ago, probably like 3 or 4 days ago, I took a picture of it. Now, keep in mind, I still have a bandage on it here because it's too grotesque, but you can kind of see the bruising around it. I got to show you guys this. It's kind of gnarly. Look at this. Hang on. How's that? So anyway, that's just the bruising from where they removed the little spot of the cancer or pre-cancer. But so I'll be okay. Don't cry for me. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. But the reason I say all that is go to the doctor, get checked up. If you can do it, please do it. I did it before my health insurance expired. So anyway, those are all the main topics I wanted to talk about. And in a few minutes, I will dive into a huge stack of 4K movies. Oh, also, there's one other thing I did want to mention on a lighter note. And by the way, thanks for all the comments, guys. Is John coming out? No, I'm not. Not yet. Will G says you should see Heretic. I did see Heretic at Fantastic Fest 2 months ago. Quite enjoyed the movie. I've talked about it a few times on the live stream. Simple, nice little horror film. The only thing I didn't love was maybe the third act of the movie. But other than that, I really enjoyed Heretic. Okay, someone said it was close to the no-no spot. Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close. 5 inches up. This would be a different live stream. Okay, so let's lighten the mood here. With Gladiator 2 coming out, I'm super excited to see the movie. I just shot a movie night video for the first Gladiator. My wife had never seen the movie, so we made a movie night, showing her Gladiator for the first time. No spoilers, but I think she enjoyed it. But I got to share this with you guys. If you're going to go see Gladiator and you like popcorn, you got to do this. Hang on. check out the Gladiator 2 popcorn bucket. Look at this. It comes with Maximus's helmet on there. Now, the coolest thing is you can take off the helmet. Now, if you have a small head, unlike me, it might fit your head. It was just... Hey, hang on. I think I can do it. Okay, how's that? My name is Flickpick Maximus Decimus Meridius, father to popcorn, husband to Sour Patch Kids, and this helmet will not fit in this lifetime or the next. But yeah, you get the popcorn bucket here. It's metal. It's a tin. And I actually have some old stale popcorn in there from last night during our movie night. So yeah, if you haven't bought this, I think this is the only way to watch Gladiator. And the other cool thing is there's not just one version of the Gladiator 2 popcorn bucket. There's two of them. And this one looks like the... actually, I'm going to keep this on. This one looks like the Roman Colosseum. I have some popcorn in there, too, to give you the true ambiance of what it should look like. But isn't this crazy? I never thought, during my life, I would ever be able to eat popcorn out of the Roman Colosseum. Am I the only one? No? Does anyone else ever have deep thoughts like that when you're laying in bed? But the cool thing about this is if you move all the popcorn out of the way, there's like a QR code in there you can scan with your phone, and it'll actually show two little gladiators fighting in this. The app kind of sucks, to be honest with you. I could barely get it to work. But anyway, I just thought I'd share those two Gladiator 2 popcorn buckets with you. And my question to you is, are you guys going to go see Gladiator? I have a screening for the movie tomorrow. The only unfortunate thing is it's 2.5 hours away in Columbus, Ohio. I love me some Gladiator, but the movie does come out Thursday night. Is it worth driving 2.5 hours, technically a 5-hour round trip, to watch it 2 days early? I don't know. I feel like I'm getting too old. That's a long drive. I don't know if my back can take it. I need some more lumbar support. All right. And then the next main topic we're going to talk about today, guys, and we are going to get into the questions. I see all these glorious, beautiful questions, and if you have questions, get them in right now. I will answer them all just in a few minutes. So rest assured, I will answer all of your glorious questions. I have a brand new stack of 4K movies that have been sent to me over the last few weeks from multiple various studios. Now, some of these movies might suck, and some of them might be okay. But I figured we could go down the stack of movies together and just quickly talk about each movie. The first one I have is Killer's Game, starring Dave Bautista. This is the Steelbook. Now, I have not seen Killer's Game. When it comes to Dave Bautista and his acting ability, I think he's okay. I think he would have been a really good live-action version of Bane. But I think that time is kind of coming to an end. But anyway, have you seen Killer's Game? Is it any good? I thought it kind of looked like a generic 90s action movie that you just get on VHS and it would have never went to theaters. And by the way, I actually, for some odd reason, one day when I was taking a crap, I was reading about this movie on Wikipedia, I believe. And I read that the original screenplay to this movie dates back to the 1990s. And there's been so many failed attempts at making this movie, and now finally in 2024 we have it. And I just think, why did you still pursue making such like a generic action movie? But then again, I haven't seen the movie, so what do I know? But that's Killer's Game. It's the Steelbook, and it's kind of a cool looking Steelbook. The next one is, hey, you want your nuts? Come here. Oh, your nuts. That's my Michael Keaton impression. Make my millennium. Beetlejuice. Nowhere as good as the original, which was simplistic and to the point and still has this kooky weirdness Tim Burton vibe that holds up to today. This film as a sequel, I think, it gives fans maybe what they want to see to a certain degree, but it sort of just felt like the streaming version of a Beetlejuice movie. And what I mean by that is it just looked way too digital, and it looked, and I guess the story was a bit underwhelming, to say the least. I have a full review for this up on my main channel. I love me some Michael Keaton, but as a sequel, I like Jenna Ortega in the movie, but I just thought all the storylines were sort of meandering at best. The next one is a Alfred Hitchcock flick, North by Northwest. I have not seen this movie in probably 20 years, or maybe 15 years. And I'm looking forward to revisiting this on 4K very soon. This will be a rainy day movie I check out. The next one is Blazing Saddles. This is a Mel Brooks movie. And I have an unpopular opinion. Just hear me out for a second. I'm not the hugest. I respect Mel Brooks movies. I think there's like funny gags throughout, but I've never been a diehard fan. But anyway, this has Gene Wilder in it. It's been a long time since I've seen it. The last time I probably watched Blazing Saddles was on beta tape. And if you're too young to know what beta tape is, just go to Google right now. It's another version of VHS tapes that were slightly smaller, but actually, technically speaking, had better picture quality. But due to the porn industry using VHS predominantly, beta tape went out of business. It's crazy, right? Anyway, that's a true story. So anyway, I'll go back and watch Blazing Saddles at some point in life. The next one, Terminator, baby, on 4K. I thought I already owned this on 4K, and maybe I do. I didn't look very long back there on my shelf. I swear I owned this on Steelbook, or maybe that was the Blu-ray. I can't quite remember. But anyway, I have a question. If you guys know anything about this 4K transfer on this movie, did James Cameron oversee this, and is the movie's color timing way too blue? Because when it comes to Terminator 2 Judgment Day, James Cameron, in my opinion, he almost destroyed the look of that movie. Now it looks flat, and he cleaned it up a little too much. So I'm hoping he didn't do the same with Terminator, because I always like the grittiness of it. And speaking of Terminator, which is a good movie, let's talk about The Crow. I have not watched this movie. I don't know if I could ever bring myself to watch this movie, but I currently own the steelbook of this movie. I'm not proud to say that. Holding it in my hand right now makes me just want to bash it into my skull until I pass out and wake up 7 hours later. But with all that said, did you guys like The Crow? I just don't want to look at Bill Skarsgård with shitty little junky, trashy tattoos. I just don't want to look at it. I really don't. But I'll tell you something else I don't want to look at, which is also on Steelbook, is Borderlands. This feels like a movie that is if you looked up what not to do with an overproduced movie in Hollywood, it would be Borderlands. And then right beside that would be Red One. But I haven't watched this movie. I played the game Borderlands a few times in life. I've heard not one good thing about this movie. Actually, I've heard nothing but explicitly negative things about this movie. But I own it on Steelbook, so there's that. So those are some new movies I wanted to share with you guys. And the last one I actually want to share with you is a Blake Lively movie, because I want to just end on this one. I like to end my movie collection on domestic violence. It ends with us starring Blake Lively. Now, my wife read the novel to this, and then we immediately went and watched the movie, and she hated this movie. And she said the novel really went for it. It was way more violent and brutal, and if they would have translated what was in the book to the big screen, I think this movie actually would have got people's attention and been a bit more captivating. But it just sort of waters down some of the events in the book. Then again, regurgitated baby food. That is the motto today of Hollywood. But anyway, it ends with us, and it ends right there with the topics I had to talk about today. So now let's dive into your questions, and I hope you got some good ones. And the first one comes from Avocado Balls Johnson. I love that name. I'm so damn sick and tired of Dwayne the Bald Coxon. His entire filmic career is a ceaseless procession of aggressive mediocrity. I agree with that. I'm trying to rack my brain for a few good The Rock movies, and really it's like The Rundown and maybe The Rundown. I mean, don't get me wrong. Walking Tall was okay to watch once or twice. But really outside of that, I maybe there's one or two movies he was okay in, but yeah, no, I just, the thing is, if he was just in better movies and he could get rid of his ego and really just maybe make a corny, over the top action movie that went for it and had a theme that felt like a 90s action flick, and it didn't feel like his ego was getting in the way every 5.5 seconds, maybe that would be fine. But then again, I just think audiences, as much as popular as The Rock is, maybe they're just a bit tired of seeing him up on the big screen. And how many times can you watch a movie with an actor that just sucks over and over again? Every once in a while, you need a hit. You need a good movie. So I agree with you. The White Skull says, "Hey, John, sorry that I canceled my membership. I need to save money." Hey, right back at you, man. No hard feelings. Thanks for hanging out as long as you did. And you can always just type in the normal chat, and I'll do my best to keep up with your questions, man. So thanks. No worries. Murph says, "Fully expected Jake Paul to win, but still disappointing to see." I didn't. So when it came to the Tyson fight, there was 42% of me that wanted to see Tyson just knock his ass out. And I felt like if he just got the right swing, he could, like, just break his nose. Give me that much. You don't even need to win the fight. But it became very apparent within the first round that was never going to happen. And then they sort of just stood around for 15 minutes. Steve Goldie says, "A Flip Pick live stream always makes me feel better about who I am and what I'm doing in life." Hey, you and me both, buddy. That's why I do them. Murph says, "Did you hear about what website was listed on the back of Wicked Doll boxes?" I did. I heard it was an adult film website. But then again, who cares? By the way, I want to talk about something, and I wish this video was sponsored. I really do. Sprite Zero Sugar Chill. Now, I'm a firm believer that Sprite is better than water. If I could replace all the water in the oceans with Sprite Zero, I would do it. I'd rather swim in this carbonated lime soda than that muck. But anyway, they have this new flavor out called Chill, and it has cherry lime in it. And it's the most delectable, delicious nectar of the gods liquid I've ever poured down my gullet. So anyway, I think you guys should really look into this. Sprite Zero Sugar Chill. Go check it out. And now I have to open it. I have to just talking about it, I have to taste it. Just listen to this. Oh. It's like a fine Chardonnay. You can only sip it. Oh, that's delectable. Oh. It's the armpit sweat of Zeus. That's the best way I can describe it. All right. Then the next one comes from the 50% Doctor Who podcast. "Do you think Todd Phillips will work again? Maybe with A24, they love a comeback story." I think Todd Phillips is talented. I just think he lost his damn mind in making Joker 2. They either A, intentionally had to make a bad sequel to kill the IP of that Joker, but then again, you could have just capped off the story and not had a musical and ended it, and people would have been content, and you can move on and have another incarnation of Joker show up in a new DC movie. So I'm not quite sure why they did that. Maybe he felt like he had nothing left to lose and he wanted to make a lackluster musical and waste the character of the Joker. I'm not quite sure what the logic was, and I wish I knew, and maybe one day we'll know the insights to this. But I think if Todd Phillips wanted to make another movie, I think he could. I think people would give him a shot at doing it. I just think you just need to make sure it's not a musical, and that's it. It can even have a clown in it. I'm fine with that. Just no musicals. But hey, if he wanted to direct an A24 film, that would be phenomenal. I would love to see every big budget director direct an A24 film at some point in their life. It's like, okay, here, Zack Snyder, you get $32 million to make this movie. You have to make it. Here you go. I'd like to see that version. All right, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, if Christopher Nolan can make Oppenheimer for $100 million, there is no reason something like Red One needs $250 million. I mean, like I said, 90% of that movie's budget went to The Rock's ego. That's it. And don't even get me started on Chris Evans in that movie. I don't know what the fuck he was trying to. I don't know what his character was. I don't understand what his character was. He was some guy. He kind of talks like this, and it's like, okay, this is a hyperbolic version of Chris Evans. Okay, what's his backstory? Well, he has a stupid, annoying kid who reminded me of one of the. What is the name of the kid from Double Chunk Chocolate Chip Cookie? Boom! He looked like that kid. What's his name? AJ Justice or some shit? I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, Chris Evans has a kid in that movie, and you're supposed to care about this backstory where he's not a very good father and he has this bastard son. And then at one point in the movie, they both get stuck in a Christmas globe ornament, or a snow globe, as some people would call it, except for me. And the storyline just instantly concludes there because Chris Evans says something nice. And I just thought I couldn't believe what I was watching. Even for a stupid Christmas movie, this was stupid. So just give me another Home Alone. You know what I would like to see? If I was Amazon Prime or if I was any streaming service and I have $250 million to blow on a Christmas movie, here's what I would do. I would back up a truckload of cash to Macaulay Culkin's front door. I would make a new version of Home Alone while still keeping the predecessors alive, Home Alone 1 and 2. Who cares about anything after that? And I would have an adult Macaulay Culkin and have his kid go on a new adventure, Home Alone style. Listen, I'm not saying it's going to be the best movie ever, but at least it sounds like something I'd want to watch around Christmas time. I don't want to see The Rock in a leather jumpsuit trying to save Santa Claus. Who gives a shit about that? I want to see the Wet Bandits come back once again. Maybe they break out of prison once again to try to bite off every single finger of Macaulay Culkin's hand. And I would just throw as much money at that movie as I possibly could. You could make 5 of those movies for the cost of Red One. Okay, let's go to the next one here. The salt turns the bodies into mummies. All right, the next one comes from Jordan Kudajar, who says, what are your thoughts on the Now You See Me franchise? The third one just wrapped up filming. Well, I'd hate to be so negative because I feel like I've been super negative today. But then again, I have 7 stitches in my leg right beside my groin, and I'm feeling a little bit feisty. But I was never a big fan of the Now You Can See Me or Now You See Me franchise. I thought those movies were really bad. I think one of those movies I included on one of my worst of the year list at some point. And I remember seeing the second movie. And essentially you have this group of magicians who pull off heist. And you go, okay, that's kind of a cool concept. Maybe they do sleight of hand or they're doing illusions to trick people and they pull off the heist. And I can live with that. Okay. It's like Ocean's 11, but with some illusions and sleight of the hand. Cool. Got it. Saw somebody in half and rob a bank. Sounds good. But if I remember correctly, and keep in mind, I have not seen Now You See Me 2 since it came out in theaters, and that was like 10 plus years ago, it feels like. Didn't they allude to actual magic being in these movies? It's no longer just magicians doing illusions, it's actual magic. I just remember that was alluded to, and maybe I'm wrong, but I remember hating that. And also, I think I hated everything about the movie. As far as it looked, I hated Jesse Eisenberg in the movie. I just thought they were really bad movies. So, but I didn't know they were coming out with a third one. Is that like coming straight to Netflix or something? The Sticky Bandits. Yeah, well, they were the Wet Bandits, they were the Sticky Bandits, and maybe next time they can be called, I don't know. What would be a good name for the new bandits? I have nothing witty to add to that. Not one thing. Okay, let's go to the next one. Akai Nice says, "Hi, John. I watched Cobra Kai 6 instead of Fight. Ha. Well, Akai, I wish I would have done the same. I'm looking forward to wrapping up Cobra Kai. Then again, will it ever really be wrapped up? Ever? These people will just never let this go, will they? Every 6 weeks, we have to have a new karate tournament. We're just two old men who can't get along. So what do? We take out our frustrations on these teenagers and we make them fight to prove our points." I'll check it out. For me, the new season of Cobra Kai will be my go-to-bed movie or show. When I'm really tired and I don't want to watch reruns of Breaking Bad, I'll put on Cobra Kai Season 6, and I'll probably watch it in like 10 to 15-minute increments. Because outside of that, I come to the realization that, oh, wow, this is really just the same shit for 6 seasons on repeat. But I'll check it out, man. Skylar Wheelock says, "Would you get rid of Netflix and all of its conveniences completely if it meant bringing back brick and mortar video rental stores?" That's a tough question. To me, movies aren't just things you watch. Movies are sort of a lifestyle. And I think when you had the video rental store, culturally speaking, it made movies more prevalent. It brought people to one location to interact with each other, to look at movie posters, to pick up physical objects, and decide on which movie they wanted to see. And I miss that. I miss having to narrow down what you watch to a few titles. Because currently, when you go to a streaming service, it's almost overwhelming. And I know everyone says this, and myself included. I spend more time looking for a movie to watch than I do watching a movie. And that's the honest truth. And I hate that. I really do. We're just inundated with too much content. It's almost mind-numbing. And the real unfortunate thing about all of this is we're getting more movies now than ever. We're getting more series and movies, and the thing is, no one remembers it the next day after they watch it. There's no room to talk about it, to let it resonate, to have a discussion about it. By the time you see a new movie on Friday, by Monday, there's already been 7 more movies that have come out, and we're talking about something else. And that's really unfortunate. You have these great, phenomenal films or TV series, and they just instantly get overshadowed. And going back to your question in a very roundabout way, I think the video rental store gave us that. It gave us a chance to slow down. Hey, let's get in the car. It's Friday night. Because once again, it's not just a movie. It's not just some shit you watch on the screen. No, that's not what movies are. Or at least for me, they're not. They're a way of life. I used to look forward to Friday. You get home from school. Okay, we're getting pizza. We're going to Blockbuster. It's 5 o'clock. You get in the car. You're on the way. The sun is setting. Oh, it's a beautiful, glorious day. It's even, as some would say, it's magical and mystical. And you pull up to Blockbuster, and the neon lights are glowing in the distance, and you can smell that hot plastic before you enter. And you see some kid walk out with a smile on his face, and you think, I hope he didn't get the last copy of that video game I wanted, that son of a bitch. Or at least that's how I thought when I was 9 and 10 years old. But anyway, yes, you know what? If I could push a button right now and undo streaming services and go back to brick and mortar video stores, I would push that button right now. I would push it because I truly think that would save cinema. I truly think that would give you better quality entertainment and movies. I really do. Because when you have time for things to grow and marinate and resonate in viewers' minds, I just feel like that helps propel cinema forward when you can have a discussion about it. And as a guy who makes YouTube videos, it's really unfortunate, and I do it a lot. I'm never going to be the earliest guy to talk about a movie, and I might just be the last guy to talk about the movie on the internet. But really, it's sort of disheartening at this point when someone sees every movie 7 weeks or 7 months ahead of its release date, And by the time the movie comes out, it's like, well, nobody cares. And I'm just like, I miss the time period where movies had time to really, they had time to be enjoyed. I really miss that. I blame TikTok too. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Okay, the next one comes from Murph, who says, what was with the commentators for the fight? They were awful and had weird oral fixation. Yeah, I thought the commentators for the boxing match with Tyson and Jake, I didn't think they were the best. It felt like one of them had some it felt like they knew a little bit about boxing, but I don't think on the mic they were the best commentators they could have had, especially for such a big occasion. Yeah, I don't think they really added much to it. Mike, why do you bite your glove? I got a biting fixation. Okay, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock. Oh, no, the next one comes from Toro McJohnson, who says, Red One is 250 mil, with 150 mil going to The Rock. Oh, probably, at least. I have a question, and I've always thought this about actors, and maybe this is why I'm not super successful in life, nor an actor, but I always thought to myself, you've starred in 20 movies. You have hundreds of millions of dollars. You have nothing left to say. Why are you still working and making movies? You could just go swim in a pool of cash all day long. And my question is, did they sell their soul to the devil, and for the rest of eternity they just have to be like a monkey for our sake of entertainment with cymbals slapping them together? Or is their ego so large that they just can't get out of the spotlight? And I genuinely think actors are the most narcissistic people on the planet. And even the ones that you don't think are narcissistic, I just think they're that good at acting that they don't show it. They're very self-aware narcissists. And that's what I would like to say about The Rock. I think he is the personification of what a narcissist is. And maybe that's why he can't step away from Hollywood, even though he has more cash and more muscle mass than he'll ever know what to do with it. But then again, that's my question for you guys. If you had $50 million, would you still wake up and want to go act on a movie set? Or would you just be like, nah, I'm going to set my fucking underwear today and do nothing. I don't need to work anymore. And I'm talking to you, Tom Cruise. All right. That's just my rant about actors and narcissism in Hollywood. That's all I got. Okay, the next one comes. Kyle says, he called the shit poop. Fun story. I just watched Billy Madison last week. Did I have edibles beforehand? Yes. Did that enhance the experience? Absolutely. Billy passed the 5th grade. Oh, what a glorious day. Okay. Chlorophyll, more like borophyll. All right, the next one comes from Nick Koss, who says, The Rock is Illuminati. I believe most actors are. That's my conspiracy theory. There is a cult of sorts happening. Or currently happening. All right, Nick Koss says, Hey, John. Wanted to let you know your videos and live streams always bring me joy. Also, your Nick Nolte impression consistently makes me laugh out loud. Well, it's a real nice thing what you did for that boy in that tank, Nick. You're welcome. You're welcome for that. And for everyone else who has no clue what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. But that was my Nick Nolte impression. I would say it's the best impression I do. Royale with Cheese says, Is there any word on who is being considered to play Patrick Bateman in the new American Psycho remake? My pick would be Kyle Gallner. Is Kyle Gallner from the series? Let's see. Kyle Gallner. Kyle Gallner. Yeah, he was good. I liked him in Strange Darling. I thought he was pretty good. He was in Smile too. I could kind of see that. There was some rumors and rumblings of a few other actors. I cannot remember their names. One of them was the actor who played Lyle, I believe, in the Menendez Netflix Monsters series. And in my opinion, in that series, he was sort of just doing a Patrick Bateman impression ever so slightly. But I am kind of looking forward to the American Psycho remake. And listen, when it comes to remakes, 99% of them kind of suck. We can all agree on that. Talking to you, Point Break 2015, you son of a bitch. But I love American Psycho so much that I'm willing to accept a mediocre remake at this point just for the sake of entertainment. If it gives me something mildly entertaining with some dark humor that's a good time for 2 hours, I'll be happy. And also, it's from the director of the movie Challengers with Zendaya. And I think stylistically, I could see him, that director, making an American Psycho movie. I liked that movie had like vitality and like an energy to it. And I thought it was sort of well done. So I'm kind of looking forward to the American Psycho remake. But let's hope they cast someone that can play Patrick Bateman to a T. Glenn Powell for Patrick Bateman. No, I think if you were making like a cheesy comedy movie, that would work. But just not the right look. Not the right look. Adam Sandler is overrated. You know what's funny is when I was watching Billy Madison, I was talking to my wife, and Billy Madison's up on the screen going, "Ooh, penguin, ooh, penguin." And I'm just like, this guy became a millionaire from doing that. Isn't that crazy? Like, I'm jealous. I'm envious of it. All right. The next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, Jingle All the Way came out 28 years ago yesterday. Phil Hartman as the neighborhood Chad dad and Schwarzenegger as the cuck, a lesser film, would have done the opposite, but the film zagged into a much funnier dynamic, and Hartman plays it beautifully. I don't think Arnold was necessarily the cuck of the movie. Wow, I've never heard it described as that way. No, he didn't get cucked. No. No, because the thing is, he didn't take his neighbor serious whatsoever. Now, let's talk about Phil Hartman's performance in Jingle All the Way. When you really look at it from that perspective, it's pretty dark and morbid. That guy is a little bit too touchy, and I have a strong feeling that if this was reality, he would definitely be on some registry list somewhere, and he couldn't live within 2 miles of a school zone. Because he gets a little handsy. That's assault, brother. But I guess that's one way to look at Jingle All the Way. I love it, man. I love me some Jingle All the Way. I really do. I'm not a pervert. I just wanted a Turbo Man doll. God, I've been there. I'll tell you who is a pervert. Phil Hartman in that movie. That's the pervert. He got two. Great movie. Okay, the next one comes from Andrew Gordon, who says, I rewatched Silence of the Lambs and forgot how much of a classic it is. What are your thoughts on Mindhunter on Netflix? You're the best, John. Hope life is treating you well. Well, thanks, Andrew. No complaints, A little bit of surgery, some ups and downs in life. But, hey, I'm here talking to you guys. We're breathing. I got a Sprite Zero. What more could I want in life? But as far as your question goes, yeah, Silence of the Lambs is probably in my top 5 movies of all time. I think it is probably one of the best screenplays, best supporting actors. I think it's literally nearly the perfect movie. There's no fat on the bone in Silence of the Lambs. And Buffalo Bill, talk about an antagonist, but also talk about another antagonist, Hannibal Lecter, who is this likable antagonist that you almost root for in a weird, sick, sadistic way, or at least I do. But as far as your question goes, Mindhunter on Netflix, I love it. One of the most disappointing things, and I'll go into a rant in about 1 second, the fact that we're not getting a Mindhunter Season 3 when it was all going to culminate with the BTK killer, which is one of the most prolific serial killers to ever exist. And for me, it's truly fascinating and scary and dark, but I wanted to see that come to fruition in Mindhunter. And also the fact that Netflix can make these $200, $300 million junky, shit-stain, over-bloated, shitty movies that people watch as background noise and never talk about. But for some odd reason, Netflix feels like they're giving people content that they want to see even though no one asks for it or talks about it. But anyway, I digress. I just feel like maybe if they took some of that money and made another season of Mindhunter, well, that would be money well spent. So if you haven't seen Mindhunter and you like things like Silence of the Lambs, I can't recommend another series more than Mindhunter. I think I prefer. Well, it's hard to say which season. I like season 2 quite a bit because it focuses on a child murderer named Wayne Williams. I think that's his name, in Atlanta from the late 70s. It's a phenomenal season. I can't recommend it enough. Check it out. Skylar Wheelock says, are you going to watch Aladdin next week to celebrate the film's 32nd anniversary? I did not know Aladdin was 32 years old today. That makes me feel old and tired and slightly afraid. I actually remember seeing Aladdin in 1992 in the theater as a kid. I remember seeing that movie. I remember going to the theater, and then afterwards, we stopped at Dairy Queen, and I went home and watched Married with Children. It's weird. That's the way I break up my life and the timelines and all of the events that happen. I can just remember a day and a time and an event that revolves around a movie that I saw. Maybe I'm slightly autistic. I don't know. But either way, that's weird. So maybe I will. I love me some Aladdin, man. I really do. Is anyone looking forward to the live-action Simba movie? Or, I'm sorry, Mufasa movie? Coming out in a few weeks? Are you going to see Mufasa on Christmas or Nosferatu? All right, the next one comes from Kyle, who says, John, if they let Denis Villeneuve direct all 3 new Star Wars movies instead of Abrams and Rian Johnson, you think he knocks it out of the park? I think if you let a 7-year-old child with an iPhone direct the recent Star Wars films, they might have been better than what we got from Abrams and Rian Johnson. But on a serious note, yes, I think Denis Villeneuve, I always mispronounce his name, even if I say it right. Someone says I say it wrong. But yeah, absolutely. The man who made Dune 1 and 2, yes, I think he would have made a better Star Wars movie. And I would have loved to have seen such a thing. I think that would have been true cinema. But I'm hoping the new direction that they go, maybe they'll get it right. But then again, we're talking about Disney here, so who knows? I can't get too excited about these movies. Like Star Wars it's weird to say, but I'm at a point in life where I'm not excited to see a new Star Wars movie. Now, don't get me wrong. If I see a trailer for it and it looks awesome and epic and it looks like everything I want to see, then so be it. But man, it would take a lot to get me there right now. All right. The next one comes from Brandon Dorian, who says, thoughts on the final season of Game of Thrones. While it definitely feels rushed, I still think it's good compared to a lot of shit on TV now. Oh, and that's fair to say. I still think the worst season of Game of Thrones is probably better than 90% of the other series we get on TV these days. Now, there's some really mind-boggling decisions that they made, and clearly the directors and writers of the series just wanted to cap it off so they could in fact go direct a new Star Wars movie, but that fell through the cracks because, well, season 8 sucked so much ass that I think that got revoked ever so slightly. But that's just a conspiracy theory. I'm not sure if that was ever confirmed or not. But season 8 has some fun ups and downs. But the thing that I just can't get out of my head is Bran the Broken. I don't know. It just sort of a lackluster ending to such a great series. And I'm hoping one day somehow they can restart that series to go back into that universe and that world, and we can explore it a little bit more if the writer of the books can ever conclude the damn books. Maybe we can get a new season. Maybe they can just reboot it and pretend like season 8 never happened. All right, the next one comes from Jordan Kudajar, who says, what's your most anticipated movie of 2025? Oh, man. I feel like I've answered this 5 times in the last month, and I always forget what my answer is going to be. Let's look up some movies coming out in 2025. As a guy who talks about movies, maybe I should know this, but I'm still. You know what's weird? Lately, I have been living week to week. I don't even for me. I don't even think 2025 is going to happen. I'm just trying to get through next month. Frozen 3, Sonic 3. Oh God. Nothing. I don't know. Let's look. What do we got here? This is not what I want. That's not what I want. Fantastic Four, Jurassic Park. Oh, you know what it might be? Okay, I have 3 movies. I'm intrigued by Superman. I really am. I can't wait to see a trailer and fully get the tone that James Gunn's going for with Superman. I think that might just be a good time at the theater. Mission Impossible 8, because I want to see IMAX sequences of Tom Cruise running because he loves himself so much. Hey, film me running again. No, again. Every movie. Show my side profile as I run 15 miles per hour. Oh, fuck. But I do want to see Mission Impossible 8. I'm hoping that they don't focus on the shitty storyline from the last movie where it dealt with like AI. I thought that was really junky. Avatar, Fire, and Ash, I think will be a good time at the box office. Say what you will about the storyline. I don't care. Take me to Pandora. Let me escape this crappy reality that we live in and immerse myself into Pandora and look at 9-foot-tall blue alien people. That's all I want to see. So I'm looking forward to watching that on the big screen. Those might be a few movies I'm looking forward to. I know there's a few other small movies coming out. Like Wolfman comes out in January. I'm looking forward to that. That should be, hopefully that's a good time. Mickey 17, which was delayed until April 17th, I believe, which is, by the way, 2 days before my birthday. So happy birthday to me for Mickey 17. Yeah, those are a few movies I'm looking forward to. Oh, that Rock movie I was talking about earlier, based on the MMA fighter, is actually called The Smashing Machine. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have a quality performance from The Rock. Yeah? At least this movie doesn't cost $250 million. But those are a few movies I'm looking forward to. Okay, the next one comes from Angry Hermit, who says, "Hey John, I just watched The Penguin and really loved how they handled his character. How big a role will he play in Batman 2? Thoughts on the sequel?" Listen, I'm looking forward to Batman 2. Just, hey, shake it up, crunch it up, put it into a syringe and shoot that into my veins. I'll take it right now, please. Batman 2 comes out 2026, I believe. Definitely looking forward to it. I hope they go bigger than they did with the previous installment, but in all the good ways. I still want a subdued emo Batman slightly in a gritty, crime-ridden Gotham City that looks a little bit drabby and wet at all times, but that's the best incarnation of Gotham City. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I've heard that the Penguin definitely will have a role in Joker 2, in Batman 2. What will that be? I'm not quite sure. By this point, I think we can all agree that the Joker is a ruthless asshole, right? It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how close you get to the guy. He's a psychopath. And he'll do what's best for business. All right. But I'm looking forward to Batman 2, man. I'm curious to know, once they confirm who the villains are, then my speculation juices will start flowing. Skylar Wheelock says, "What are your thoughts on Macaulay Culkin joining season 2 of the Fallout series? He's said to be playing a crazy genius type character." Well, he's already played that type of character, but as a child. I don't know about you, but when I was 8 years old, I could not survive for a week alone at home, let alone fend off my home from 2 burglars who want to kill me and take all my shit. That scene in Home Alone, when he runs home and he sets up all the booby traps, and he sets up the train tracks with the Michael Jordan cutout, and he has the record player with the mannequin on it, and all the strings, and he's dancing around. If you gave me 6 years and $20,000, I could not construct such an elaborate scheme to protect my home. I didn't even know how to use the microwave until I was 10 years old, okay? So him playing an evil genius feels like it makes sense. I didn't know that, so that could be kind of cool. But then again, I kind of watched the first season of Fallout, and I kind of stopped watching it because I just didn't care. Jordan, nope, answered that. What is this? Double Chief says, John, I'm working on an app that leverages social media and features on your phone to get people to go to the movie theater more often. Okay, sounds cool, man. Well, I will tell you this, and I've worked with a few other apps that had something similar to that. Maybe it's completely and radically different than what you're talking about. But I worked with a few other movie apps where if you use the app and bought tickets and then watched an ad, that it would give you points that you could use towards more movie tickets. So if you were just the perfect consumer, and I remember one of the apps, it could like track your eyeballs when you looked at the ad. And if you actually looked at the ad the entire time, it gave you all the digital points for movies and other. It also had some merch you could get. Anyway, is that the app? Is that your app, or is it different? But good luck with it, man. Aaron Parpart says, hey, John, last live show, I sent you my trailer for my movie via Twitter. Hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, what two boxers from different movies would you like to see a crossover and fight in a movie? I did watch your trailer, man. I remember thinking it was pretty good. I let me double check. I did watch it. That was 2 weeks ago. Please keep in mind, I don't know where I'm at today, but I did watch your trailer. I had it in my DMs and I did check it. So thank you for sending it, man. But let me double check here. I'm going to open up my Twitter here, messages. Got the link. California Dreamin', right there, baby. Yes, I did watch it. I liked your aerial shot in the opening here with the drone. So, yeah. And I even liked your video. There you go. I did watch it. I'm sorry if I can't remember every nuance right now off the top of my head. I'm truly sorry. It's been a long week, man. Please forgive my sins. But if I could have any two movie boxers battle, I don't know. Part of me wants to say, I don't want to be cliche and say Rocky. No. We're better than that. Let's say something else here. How about Drago from Rocky IV and Bruce Willis from Pulp Fiction? That'd be a good boxing match. No, I don't. I don't know, man. How about you go to Real Steel and you take the middle robot and you have him fight Jake Paul, and it just decapitates him right in the middle of the ring. That'd be a good one. And then Netflix would buffer right there at the pivotal point. Just buffers. All right, the next one comes from Gabe K, who says, what are your thoughts on the 2008 film Martyrs? I watched it a few days ago and my mind can't put it down. Ooh, I like that. Martyrs? What the... Let's see what Martyrs 2008 movie. I've never seen this. It looks pretty gruesome, man. I see women screaming and all kinds of weird stuff. Two young women who were both victims of abuse as children embark on a bloody quest for revenge, only to find themselves plunged in a living hell of depravity. Oh, it's a foreign film from France. Okay. Okay, I'm adding it to the list. This thing I just saw on Google Images looks pretty intense. Very intense. Holy shit. Google Martyrs 2008. Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to watch it. I got to watch it. Thank you for the movie recommendation, man. The next one comes from Nick Koss, who says, "Can you please say a quote from Patrick Bateman while doing a Nick Nolte impression?" Just for you, man, I will do it.
I have to return some videotapes.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's a fine Chardonnay you're drinking.
God. All right. The next one comes from Caleb. Hey, John. Are you looking forward to the Batman 2? Who are you wanting the main villain to be? And do you like Pattinson's version of the character? Keep up the great work. Well, thanks for the question, man. Absolutely looking forward to it. As far as who the villain is going to be, there's been a lot of speculation. It could be the Court of Owls. It could be Mr. Freeze. It could be Hush. Or it could be Clayface. Whatever. No matter what we get, it'll be a grounded version of whatever character that is. And I think to some degree, all of them would work. But I like villains that have a little more name recognition with them, ever so slightly. And I don't mind having a secondary villain, or even a couple secondary villains in the movie in the background to build them up for the next installment. Just don't bog it down and try to cram in too many villains with too many subplots happening. I always think the focus should be one main villain with a few villains lurking in the background. And what they did with Penguin in the first Batman movie, the Batman, I thought was perfect. So I'm hoping they do the same thing this time again. Who would I like to see? I just think making a realistic version of Mr. Freeze would be kind of cool. I really do. I think that would be kind of a cool villainous character. Or you could make... I'll tell you one character I don't want to see is Hush. I just don't think he's that intriguing as a character. I really don't. That's just my personal opinion. The Court of Owls, everyone wants to see that, and I just go, well, that's just a group of rich elites from Gotham City controlling things and hiring assassins to do things to... So I feel like corrupt Gotham City is like kind of played out by this point. So I don't know. But give me Mr. Freeze. Give me a realistic, grounded, serial killer version of Mr. Freeze. I'll take that right now. Chill. The next one comes from Timmy Biha, who says, "Hey, John, are you into any boutique physical media labels like Arrow, Video, or Kino Labar? Also, thoughts on the increasing cost of physical media?" I like some Arrow titles. I think I've bought some Arrow titles and had a few sent to me over the years, and they definitely go all out for physical media. You have a poster, you have an insert, you have all kinds of crazy shit. True Romance had a really cool physical release. I quite enjoyed it. It had a huge poster that came with it. There's nothing better than a poster of Christian Slater, right? But anyway, yeah, I'm a fan of those. Physical media, I guess, is increasing in price, but it's also becoming a niche. And it's a niche where the people who support it will probably, for the most part, always pay the asking price. Because I think we all agree that physical media is far superior than streaming will ever be. But yeah, there's definitely a price point for a Blu-ray that I'm willing to pay, and if that shit goes over like $30-something, no thank you. I'll find it at a pawn shop in 5 years, unless it's a movie I can't live without. But as far as the boutique labels having an increase in price, I haven't kept up with the pricing on them, to be honest, so I don't know much about it. And then again, I'm kind of getting to a point where I own every physical copy of every movie I've ever wanted to have. So, like, truth be told, there's very few movies left that I need to own a physical copy of. There's like 10 off the top of my head I can come up with. And Nightcrawler on 4K is one of them. Crimson King says, love your streams. Fun fact on Tom Cruise, he's the only actor to work with Spielberg, Kubrick, Scorsese, and Francis Ford Coppola. Well, that's pretty cool. Good job, Tom Cruise. Not only are you a billionaire, but you've also worked with all the great directors. That's cool. I guess I didn't know that. Or maybe I did and I never thought about it, but that's really neat. Dead Man Walking says, which actress has given the best performance so far? So far, like ever in the history of cinema or this year? I'll tell you one actress who kind of is pleasantly surprised me. I watched the film Anora a week or two ago. Quite enjoyed the movie. I actually really liked it. And I thought Mickey Madsen, that's her name, right? Mickey Madsen, from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought she was great in that movie. I thought she like stole every scene she was in. I bought into her character kind of being this like escort type character. I liked the movie quite a bit. It was a good time. It's not perfect. The second act of Anora kind of falters a little bit and gets a little bit dragged out and a little bit too slow for its own good. But I still think it was a really good movie, and I enjoyed it. And it's, I don't know. I kind of like movie. It had this certain level of humor to it that was dark and morbid, but also just the right amount of levity. It almost had like a Coen Brothers Fargo type vibe to it without that much murder, right? And I quite enjoyed that. That's my type of humor for like a movie of that style. So I think I answered the question. And what's the movie again? Anora. Anora is the movie. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It'll probably be on streaming soon. Okay, the next one comes from Andy, who says, since you love The Substance so much, you'll probably also like the movie Seconds with Rock Hudson from 1966. I've never seen Seconds with Rock Hudson. Okay, man, I'll notate it on the list. Yeah, The Substance is one of my favorite movies of the year. It's definitely going in the top 5 of 2024. If you have not seen The Substance, watch that shit. Don't watch it when you eat, though. It's utterly disgusting, but it's a damn good time. I wish we got more movies like The Substance. I was glued to the screen when I watched it. That third act goes a little bit batshit crazy, but you know what? I was okay with it. Skylar Wheelock says, do you expect 4Ks to get more exposure under the new administration? Most 4Ks are made in Mexico, and Trump plans to put a tax on imports shipped to Mexico. I haven't thought that too deep into it. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. There's no reason you couldn't make them in the U.S. as well. I don't know. It's just an optical disc. But it's not like making a car. I don't know. I haven't thought that much into it, man. Skylar Wheelock also says, what's a terrible movie that you still love because you loved it as a kid? I mean, I think the obvious answer here is a little film called Over the Top from 1987 starring Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling for custody of his son. And would I like to see a modern day remake of that? Yes, I would. And by the way, Amazon Prime, since you have $250 million to make shit that nobody wants to watch, and The Rock's willing to star in any movie that pays him, how about a remake of Over the Top with The Rock? Okay, I'll take it. I'll take that right now. I know it'll be a piece of shit, but I'll watch it. I'd rather watch that than Red One. Okay, the next one comes from DJ Runnel1, who says, happy 1 month anniversary to both of us. By the way, yes, happy anniversary. And if you guys didn't know, I got married in October. So it's crazy, man. Life's moving too fast. I hope it slows down. What has surprised you the most about marriage? For me, it's about how different cleanliness levels would annoy us. Well, we already lived together for a couple of years, and we're both sort of lazy yet anal retentive people. So we get very messy. Our house gets very messy. It'll get very messy. It'll look like people cooked meth here. But then what we do is we get super anal retentive one day and we clean everything. I'm naked, swiffering the floor. She's vacuuming, folding clothes. And it gets to the point where we literally dust every single shelf in our house. It's a bizarre experience. But nevertheless, it's a good time. So the thing that's most surprised me about marriage is nothing's really changed. The only real surprising thing about marriage is since I'm married, now my health insurance costs more because technically it's a household income, which is really depressing. Other than that, it's kind of the same. The next one comes from Nick Koss once again, who says, what are your thoughts on Colin Farrell wearing a penguin peen for the Penguin show? A penguin peen? I mean, if you're going to do it right, man. I hope, my thing is, it should have looked more like his feet. Like, if you're going to wear a penguin pain prosthetic, then make it look like your club feet. All bulbousy, like a baked potato wrapped in Play-Doh. I don't know. Let's go to the next question. Skylar Wheelock says, thanks for the question, man. Skylar Wheelock, and by the way, just on a side note, to clarify, I have not watched all of the Penguin series. I watched the first few episodes. I watched the ending to the newest episode. I know. But I just didn't care about watching the series of the Penguin. I know people say it's good, but for me, the cliff notes, the highlights will do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I've disappointed anyone, but here's what I say to you. If you've never seen The Sopranos and you liked the Penguin series, now go watch The Sopranos. And then tell me if you think the Penguin series is as good as you thought it was. I don't know. Something about production quality of that series just not quite where I wanted it to be. I know I'm being picky. I know that's not a popular opinion. But if they showed the Penguin's cock, I didn't see it. And I wish I did. Now I'll go back and watch it. But I highly doubt that's what we're talking about. Let's go to the next question. Skylar Wheelock says, if you found out you were living in a Truman Show situation as we speak, would you be flattered? I would think if that's the case, why don't I have more subscribers and viewers on my YouTube? You'd think if the whole world was watching, there'd be more than 261 people in here right now. But you know what? I'm not complaining. Every single one of you matter, and I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. If you put 261 people together in a men's bathhouse, that's a lot of people in a men's bathhouse, and nevertheless, we're going to have a good time together. So thank you for watching. But yeah, I don't think that's the situation, but I do think we live in a simulation. And I do think planet Earth is the Truman Show for a group of aliens somewhere, somehow, someway. DJ Run01 says, I know you're not a big musical fan, but do you plan on watching Wicked? Well, I was actually going to watch Wicked tonight. There were some early screenings of the movie, and I could have went and seen it, and I just didn't have the urge to watch it. It's 2.5 hours long. I am kind of looking forward to it. My wife is a huge fan of the stage play Wicked. She's seen it, and she's looking forward to the movie. So that gets me excited to see the movie, and I'll check it out. And maybe I'll do like a quick video in the theater talking about it. But instead of watching it tonight, I'd rather talk to you guys and hang out during a live stream. But I do plan on seeing it Wednesday. I have tickets to see Wicked Wednesday. Is anyone else going to go see Wicked? Let me know. Dylan says substance is overrated, in my opinion. Well, Dylan, what's overrated about it? Please let me know. And by the way, if any YouTube members are in the chat right now, chime in right now. You got anything to say? Any statements? Any questions? Any profound thoughts on cinema? Please share that shit right now in the normal comment section. If you are a YouTube member, or if you guys just want to chime in your thoughts and feelings. I will read the normal chat in just about 1 second here. So So chat that shit up. Skylar Wheelock says, thinking about how Ray Liotta was supposed to play Dennis Quaid's role in The Substance before he passed away fills me with deep sadness. Yeah, I think Dennis Quaid did a good job. And by the way, speaking of Dennis Quaid in The Substance, those close-up scenes where he's eating like lobster or whatever the fuck he's eating, oh, it's all greasy. Oh, but I kind of liked it. I could see Ray Liotta doing that as well, though. Timmy Biha says, what's the most expensive item on your 4K shelf? Timmy, I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. On that entire shelf over there or just on the 4K section? On that entire shelf, the most expensive item might be... Well, I'll tell you the most unobtainable items on that shelf are my 2 play buttons for hitting 100,000 subs. Outside of that, I don't know if I have maybe an out-of-print 4K steelbook down there. Maybe one of those is really expensive because it's out of print. Which one is it? I'm not sure. I'd have to go through and look. But then I have a Blockbuster light-up sign I bought on Etsy up there for like $80. That was a good investment. Highly recommend that. And then right there is my amber... My mosquito amber from Jurassic Park. That's actually the real amber they used in the movie. It's the real prop. It's worth like $7,000. All of that's a lie. I bought it on Amazon for $62. But I recommend it. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Okay. The next question comes from... Hostman says, John, Fear 1996 is literally a Lifetime movie. Don't you think so? It kind of is a Lifetime movie. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. But it's a really good Lifetime movie. And it's how Lifetime movies should be. Because when Mark Wahlberg is just hitting his chest like some psycho asshole, I love it. But you're right. Fear is sort of like a Lifetime movie. John, have you seen Addicted from 2014, another crappy movie that is so bad it's laughable for a Lifetime BET movie? I have not seen that. There was another BET movie I wanted to watch. It was like a remake of something. Oh gosh, what was it? I mentioned it weeks ago. There was a movie that came out and they made a remake of it, a BET version. I don't remember what it was. John, if you had to rewrite Jurassic World or a recent one, how would you do it? Off the top of my head, I don't know if I can come up with a screenplay for Jurassic World, but I would probably not do 90% of the things that they did in that movie. As far as Jurassic World goes, when you have a theme park dedicated to dinosaurs, why does it look so boring and mundane? It had no flavor to it. I was like, I don't want to go here. I would love to see a dinosaur in real life, but that theme park in Jurassic World just looked like some shitty theme park you'd come across in the middle of Nebraska. It's like, why does it look this way? And I feel like everything that they did with that movie, as far as the look of it and the tone and the color grading, I hated all that too. I think the casting for the movie wasn't that great. I probably would not have cast anyone that was in that movie, nor would I have characters as boring as the characters in that movie. Those are a few things I wouldn't do, but what I would do is... I'm not sure. I'm really not. I think at one point, and I don't know if they're following up on this or if the new Jurassic World movie touches on this, but I would love to see the theme park that they introduced in Lost World, the sequel to Jurassic Park, where they had the idea to bring sort of like a zoo to San Diego with dinosaurs in it. I would follow up on that. I would follow up on that idea and maybe explore that a little bit. But as far as the ins and outs and getting detailed with that, I have no clue off the top of my head. Okay, the next one comes from House of the Dragon comes out on Blu-ray tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think I'd be... Why? That's just one thing I would never buy on Blu-ray. I'm sorry. If you have an HBO or a Max subscription, just click play. Like, if you want to put in the physical copies of it, I understand that. And as a physical copy enthusiast, I will never tell you not to buy a Blu-ray, but there's just certain things I won't buy Blu-rays for, and that might be one of them. All right. And by the way, yes, if you can, like the video. It does help that stupid YouTube algorithm. Stick it to the man. Don't let Google win. Give the video a like. Just click like. It's free. It only hurts for a second. All right, I'm going to answer a few more questions, guys. So if you guys have anything else you want to talk about or say, now is the time. Anything and everything. Just type it in the normal chat. I am here. I'm waiting and I'm willing. As you guys type out your questions, thoughts, or comments, I will take a sip of this delicious Sprite Zero. Oh yes, I would definitely get rid of the subplot of wanting to have velociraptors kill terrorists, because it's so much easier to train a dinosaur to kill a terrorist in a cave, and cheaper than it would to be just to buy a drone that has an explosion device on it. Absolutely yes. I never watched Star Wars Clone Wars. I've seen a few episodes, but I never really got into it. That just came out at a weird time in my life. I feel like I was a little bit too old to dive into it. Landon Lee says he also hated the blue and gray color in Jurassic World. Yeah, just pump up the saturation. Step number 1. Just make it look saturated. Give me some color. It's a movie about dinosaurs. It's not a movie about some depressed guy living in Seattle, okay? All right. John, do you have a favorite movie studio? You know, every time I see the Warner Brothers logo pop up, that kind of gets me excited. The other logo popping up that always got me excited as a kid was the Universal logo when that pops up on the screen. But as far as like a favorite studio, right now, if I had to pick one, maybe A24. But really, if I had to, maybe Universal and Warner Brothers are probably my two favorite studios. But then again, yeah, we'll go with those. When Shelby Oaks come out? I have no clue. Next year sometime? I don't know. Okay, a few more questions here. Yeah, Chris Pratt was terrible in those movies. The latest season of Cobra Kai episodes weren't the best, I'm sad to say. The last 4 seasons weren't the best, I'm sad to say. John Kreese looks like an old piece of beef jerky, and the only thing he wants to do is break out of prison. Why? Cobra Kai and Vietnam. That's why. Come on, man. We're done here. You had everything you wanted to say 5 seasons ago. Let's stop. I have seen Deep Rising 1998. Not one of my favorite movies. I always preferred Deep Blue Sea, which came out around the same time. Far superior movie. One has sharks, one has aliens. What can you do? GM Goated says, Hi, John. Watching since 2012, going through the worst time of my life by far. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And been hard on myself and always angry at myself. I'm 22. Anything I should hear? Listen, CM Goated 22. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a guy in his underwear talking about movies, but I will give you some life advice. I, too, get very hard on myself. I'm very angry, and I have a very short temper, but it's very short-lived. And I think what you have to do every once in a while, when it feels like the world is closing in on you and the walls are getting closer and closer, you have to step back and breathe. Go outside. Take a walk. Look up at the sky. Breathe in the fresh air. Enjoy the little things in life. Hyper-focus on the little things. And if life gets too pressing, if it becomes too overwhelming, you have to chop life up into smaller increments. For example, what I do to help with stress is I don't think about next month or the month after that or next year. I think about next week, and I make a game plan. Do I always stick to it? Sometimes. But make a game plan. Get through this week, on to the next week. So I assure you, you're 22, you have your whole life ahead of you, man. Enjoy that shit. What I would give to be 22 again. I would give a lot. I was debating about giving my left testicle, but I would not give that. No, I would not. But I would give something for it, I assure you. But you got your whole life ahead of you. And I promise you, all the problems that you have at 22 won't fucking matter by the time you're 32. Rest assured. So that's the best advice I can give you, buddy. But yes, let's combine sharks and aliens for a new shitty movie, and that can star The Rock, and it can be made by Netflix and cost $755 million, and nobody will talk about it the day after it streams. Yes, on today's episode of Life Coach with the Flick Pick, you guys don't just come here to hear me talk about and blabber about movies, do you? There's so much more than that. But I like to, it all interconnects, like a symbiotic relationship. John, how is your job going? Are you still enjoying it? I don't work there any longer. One day I'll share the explicit, detailed story, but I no longer do that. I'm trying to focus on YouTube again and just catching up on life, so bear with me. I'm trying my best to catch up. And no, I did not enjoy it. I hated every second of it. But with all that said, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the live show there. I do want to thank you guys for the questions, the comments, hanging out for a couple hours, and just talking about movies and life. As always, if you want to, give the video a like. That way I can see you next time. And if you haven't already, go to my main channel and watch my review for Red One, where I shot it in the movie theater. And I have a quick question for you guys. Do you guys like the quick reviews that I shoot in the theater immediately after the movie? Or do you like more of the subdued sit-down style reviews? Let me know. I'm genuinely curious which one you guys prefer. Some people just like talking heads that sit stationary like this. I don't know. I can't do it when I talk about movies, especially if I'm all riled up about a bad movie. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. That way I can see you next time. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, guys.